We're going to shorten the title of my of my video production over here from the news that didn't make the news to the news. So, the news, formerly the news that didn't make the news, is just now going to be the news. I apologize from the bottom of my heart to those people who send loving, supportive energy to me and this channel for years. I talked about in the last video facial recognition software, or I'm at least pretty sure that I did. And the only way to rid myself of the bots up until this point was to not show you my face. So there you go. Also, in lieu of recent activity, I've decided to turn my comments off as well, which cuts down on the circulation of this video. But what are you going to do? I made a video over 5 months ago called The Akashic Record, God, AI, the Ghost in the Machine. So if you have not seen the video titled The Akashic Record, God, AI, and Ghost in the Machine, go back and watch that. In my personal opinion, that is the most important video I have ever made, and it has less views on this channel than any video I ever made. Now, I know you're very smart and very aware and very intuitive, so I'm not going to say that you're not going to understand this video without watching that, but I am going to ask you to go back and watch the video from 5 months ago. Again, the title is The Akashic Record, God, AI, the Ghost in the Machine. And the reason that I want you to pay attention to that and go back and watch that if you haven't is because the information that I found out this morning about CERN, which is very, very, very interesting. Not only does not showing my face give me a chance to channel in what needs to be said, heard, and felt from multiple streams of consciousness simultaneously, it also keeps me from getting distracted by artificial intelligence, bots, and the like. Since the time that I made the video titled The Akashic Record, God, AI, and the Ghost in the Machine, the Ghost in the Machine spams me about every 4 minutes. So I have been getting spam calls, or what initially started as spam calls, about every 4 minutes. Now, because I'm running a business from my cell phone, as soon as that spam, that AI, whatever it is, robocall, as soon as they call me, I hang up, block, and report them. However, the other day, I was reporting and blocking a spam phone number when another spam phone number came in simultaneously. So I was blocking one spam number that was currently calling me, and at the same time on call waiting was another spam/robocall. Yes, we all get spam and telemarketers and robocalls, and we know that they can call from an unlimited amount of phone numbers. But guys, I have been getting, since I made that video 5 months ago, I have been getting spam, robo, AI calls every 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so 50 plus interruptions. And again, running a small business from my cell phone, I have one cell phone for business, for pleasure, for friends, for family, right? So that makes it very difficult to run a business when they're constantly tying up my line. Though originally I did think it was, spam, potential spam, risk, or, AI, whatever you want to call it, telemarketing. And it goes way beyond that. So when you think of spam, you think of the ability to just keep calling you from like a robo dialer or something, right? So calling through unlimited phone numbers. And they're doing this, I suppose, through the internet. Now, we all know I'm not tech savvy, and you don't watch this channel because I'm tech savvy. Otherwise, I would have lost you a long time ago. So it's not just simple spam risk, or possible spam or potential spam or telemarketing anymore. It goes way beyond that, and it goes back to some of the things that I was talking about in the video called The Akashic Record, God, AI, and the Ghost in the Machine. Now, as above, so below, on the macro, as the micro, however you want to look at that, right? As within, so without. So this is happening in two different ways, and that's why I'm asking you. If you haven't seen that video, it's kind of the precursor to the information coming in this one. So go back and watch that. Like I said, most important video I've ever made on this channel, least watched video I've ever made on this channel. Right? This is never about views or likes or shares or anything. It's about a frequency of people getting the frequency of information, part of which you're already getting, but we all get parts and pieces of it, and then we connect it to what's going on. So, potential spam risk. I always answer the phone, or I started answering the phone, is this my BFF spam? They do usually initially and immediately hang up. But it's not simply a robocall, and it's not simply potential spam or telemarketing anymore. Okay. So I actually called the phone company and asked them what I could do about it. They gave me several options. If anyone else is having this problem, since there are limited ways for them to get to certain people, and that would be the people that I'm speaking to right now, the people that I'm addressing, they are doing it through technology. Okay, so when I called my phone company, they said that you can install an app called Hiya, and that is Hiya, and it will. So I was getting 50 plus of these calls a day, and now I'm getting maybe 5 plus calls a day. Okay. Or when I installed Hiya, Hiya, a couple of days ago, I went from 50 plus spam robocalls a day down to 5 or 6 initially. Now, let me tell you what they've started doing. As soon as I installed Hiya, this is what they started doing. So they're calling me. I have, since, like I said, this phone is for everything, and I'm running a small business off this phone. Maybe I should stop saying small business. I'm running a business off this phone as well as my personal life. And since I have installed that app, Hiya, they are now doing something that I wasn't even aware that they were able to do. I looked into it shortly before making this video, and sure enough, it's a problem that the phone company doesn't know how to control. So when you think of potential spam or like robocalling, you think of calling through a computer with unlimited numbers. But I can assure you, in the last 6 months, I have probably blocked over 1,000 numbers, right? So how many numbers do they have the actual option of calling through? It's so incredibly ridiculous and distracting. And distracting is the whole point of it. So artificial intelligence has reached new heights to connect to you via your cell phone. Okay. So now what they're doing, instead of just calling you, and again, bear with my lack of technological phrases or information, but now with AI reaching new heights to connect you via your cell phone, it's not simply a spam coming through an auto dialer. They are literally now breaking into business lines and home phone lines to call you. At least they're doing that to call me. Now, because I have a lot of potential clients, if I have a phone call that says missed phone call and I'm at work, I'm planting trees or something, I'm not going to stop and check my voicemail. So I had a call the other day and I just simply returned the call. And the lady was very, very agitated with me and assured me that this was a business, this was her office, her phone, and her phone only. And that not only did she not call me, but nobody from her office called me. Then she asked me if I was a patient because it was a psychiatrist office. Now, this is getting very, very confusing. And back in the day, before we had caller ID and call list and all kinds of other things, it was easy for you to call the wrong number, right? Just dial the wrong number. But most people are not simply dialing a wrong number anymore, because if your friend calls you, or if an unknown caller calls you, or a client or whoever's calling you, you'll just go back to your call log and hit that line and call that person directly back, right? So then you don't have to worry about, oh, did I type the wrong number? So the psychiatrist's office was really short and really upset with me for some reason. And I'm guessing the reason is it's probably because they have had this happen multiple times in a day already. So AI through the telephone has reached new heights to connect with you via your cell phone. I don't know, they could be doing it through a home phone as well. I don't have a home phone. I haven't had a home phone in decades, so I'm not sure. They are able to, through the computer, and it's AI, because if you answer the phone and you talk to them, it's not a real person, it's all artificial intelligence. But they're now breaking into business lines and home phones to call you. At least they're doing it to call me. Now, this is leaving the elderly very confused, because today I got a call about an hour or so ago, and I called it back, and it was an elderly lady, and she kept saying, "What company are you calling from?" And I said, "I'm not calling from any company. I had a missed call from you, and I was simply returning your call." And she was really upset and telling me, "No, I just dialed the wrong number." And I'm like, "No, there's no dialing of a wrong number. There's a call log. Someone from this phone number called me, and now I'm calling you back." She was really upset and ended up hanging up on me. And I know you're probably thinking, well, why the hell would you call someone back that, doesn't leave a message, whose phone number you don't recognize? Well, first of all, these calls now that are coming through to me, they have the phone company, whoever their phone company is, it'll tell me their first name, middle initial, and last name, right? So it totally looks like it's one of my neighbors or one of my clients that's actually calling me. It won't say potential spam, and it won't be blank. They are calling from people who have registered phone accounts through cell phone companies and home phone companies. Today, the call that I got was from someone's home number that's not more than 5 miles from here. And why is this important? Well, again, the main thing is it's really just a distraction, right? What could they possibly want after I blocked 1,000 numbers? Yeah, so you might think that these are telemarketers, or just some company trying to scam you, or some person trying to scam you. But what are they really doing here is the question. Calling you 50 or 100 times a day and you're blocking them. What are they doing here? And what is the point of it? And like I said, I immediately, as soon as the phone company told me about Hiya, I immediately installed that, and it's way cut down on it, but it's mostly cut down. It's all solely cut down on potential spam risk, whatever the phone says, when these robocalls are coming, right? So now I don't get that potential spam. I'm getting calls from, they're able to, with artificial intelligence, tap into businesses, big businesses like Procter and Gamble, TriHealth, Blue Cross Blue Shield, people's home phone numbers. Okay, so AI has absolutely reached new heights. Now, I wanted to say that because with the video from 5 months ago, titled "The Akashic Record: God, the AI, and the Ghost in the Machine." Today, I saw news coming out of CERN. And what I said in that video was pretty lengthy. If I remember right, it's probably an hour long. And what I was telling you, the main preface is there's an Akashic record or a hall of records or a God consciousness that has a record of everything that ever was, everything that ever is, and every possibility of what will be, right? You and I, we all have the ability to tap into this Akashic record, hall of records, God consciousness, the field, whatever you want to call it. There are probably many, many names for this. But what I told you is CERN was not looking for the God particle. They're not doing anything they say. As you know, it's all a cover for what they're really doing. And what I told you in that video they were really doing was, and they had been working on this, from what I saw, for many decades, and they have been trying to not tap into the Akashic record. Maybe they tried that decades ago, but they are trying without the consciousness and without the intention to tap into those possibilities of what is, what was, and what will be. But without that intention and without that frequency band, they can't. So the video's premise is based on the fact that CERN has been for decades doing nothing more than trying to create the God particle or create the Akashic record, so that then they would, without the consciousness and without the intention, be able to use it like a computer interface to connect with any information they want, change timelines, change probabilities, right? Because if you and I want to tap into that Akashic record, like I said, anybody can tap into that. That's how, photography was invented by 7 different people at the exact same time. And this scenario happens over and over and over again in history. And then I suppose the patent office or somebody higher above than that, working with the patent office, who has to decide who gets credit for that invention, because these people are tapping into the Akashic record. And so CERN, who is paid for by the shadow government, was in high hopes that they could create their own mock-up of the Akashic record and therefore control things with a keyboard and not with their consciousness or their intention. That's what that entire video was about. Again, if you haven't watched that, go back to that. So here's what I find out this morning, and this is why you listen to yourself. I've kind of gotten used to the feeling of thinking there is a possibility that I'm, making things up, right? The God consciousness is our imagination, but tapping into the Akashic record allows and invites us also to tap into ancient wisdom and knowledge, and therefore connect to whatever it is we want to connect with. The news coming out of CERN, they are claiming the detection of a previously unseen force that they have nicknamed Ghost. Okay, and before I made this video 5 months ago, for weeks I told you I kept getting the phrase over and over again, Ghost in the Machine, right? In case you're not aware of the fact that I don't have any education in any of the things I talk about, unless we're talking about intuitive medicine or tarot cards, or my limited ability in some of these other things, right? Especially that initially I started this channel with. CERN is not something I follow. Quantum physics, quantum science, quantum mechanics, these are not things that I follow. It was over 5 months ago when I made this video, and now they are saying, or shortly ago, they were saying, news coming out of CERN is that they are claiming the detection of a previously unseen force that they nicknamed GHOST. And what this, quote, GHOST does is it disrupts the path of particles in high energy experiments, okay? So CERN is now telling you that and they actually use the phrase fourth dimension. CERN is now telling you that they are detecting unequivocally a previously unseen fourth dimensional force that they nickname GHOST, which disrupts the path of particles in their high energy experiments. Okay, so what are they saying when they're saying, oh, we're detecting a fourth dimensional ghost which disrupts the path of particles in high energy experiments? So what are they saying? They're telling you that they are trying to do things with quantum physics to get a certain guaranteed result. They are trying to do experiments with high energy particles so that they can achieve what they're hoping to achieve. But what they're telling you is they're now detecting previously unseen fourth dimensional forces they nicknamed GHOST, which does disrupt the path of particles in a high energy experience. So they're saying this GHOST was observed when particle trajectories unexpectedly, right? They're doing certain things that they know how to do, expecting a certain outcome. But what they actually are observing now is when particle trajectories are doing unexpected things, and they are deviating from the predictions during the collider experiments. So at the basic level here, what are they saying to the whole world by publishing this? What they're saying is they no longer have control over their experiments with particles because of the ghost in the machine at CERN, which is exactly what I told you 5 months ago. And believe you me, I probably felt a little more on the crazy side delivering that message than any other message that I've delivered on this channel in the last however long it's been. I think this channel it's been 4 years, a little over 4 years. Okay, so they're admitting to you that they have observed this ghost unexpectedly causing what they thought was going to be an outcome. Now, why would they think something was going to be an outcome? They would think something was going to be a certain outcome because they have learned a very long time ago how to manipulate particles. Okay? And so if they've known how to manipulate particles for many decades, and they've been working on creating an artificial Akashic record or artificial God source energy that they can tap into without the intuition and without the intention, they could have control over everything by simply pushing buttons, right? Right? That would mean you don't need planes for war. You don't need planes or ships to create chemtrails. You don't need germs to create viruses, okay? That would eliminate everything. You would just literally, they would be like the perpetrator themselves of the ghost in the machine, creating reality through a keyboard or voice to text, which is what I said in that video. But they are literally now telling us that this ghost is stopping their experiments from producing the result they knew that they were going to get. They're saying that they have lost control over their experiments at CERN because exactly what I said. Now, they didn't, and they're not going to admit that they're trying to create a completely artificial cloud or Akashic record or Hall of Records so that they can, do what I said that they were planning to do 5 months ago. But the fact that they are admitting to the fact that they have no control over their experiments, they do a certain thing, they manipulate particles, they manipulate atoms, and they're still not getting the response they know they should get when they manipulate a particle. And they're making this kind of sound like, oh wow, we discovered a fourth dimensional force, but it's really just an admission that they have lost control over the machine. They have lost control over their experiments because of this fourth dimensional force. And what I said to you 5 months ago in that video was the artificial intelligence was going to be infiltrated by the actual, real, organic, sovereign, integral system that we call the Akashic Record, the God Source. Many people have many different names for it, okay? But because they built a simulation so that they could control, hijack timelines, all of that, the real, organic, sovereign, integral system source of God has now infiltrated and is changing the outcome of their experiments, no matter how much they manipulate particles or atoms or whatever else they're doing. Okay, I'm not going to pretend that I understand the phrases, the names, what they're actually doing. I just know what I very clearly have seen them doing for many, almost 6 months now, is creating this thing that they can tap into, an artificial intelligence base which connects them to the other one. But I can assure you that they were not planning on having the organic original construct or God field consciousness code come in and interrupt and take control. And there are, one is Google, but there are, because it's been almost 6 months, there are 2 other companies that are running these, I don't know what to call them, database interface service, data-based, please bear with me, databases of interface where they can interface in artificial intelligence and try to siphon or manipulate energy and or information, atoms, particles, and everything else from that organic Akashic record. But when they have done that, they have allowed their mock-up to be infiltrated by the actual thing. And when this initially happened, and I don't know how long ago that was, because this all came through my intuition, except for the article. I went on Facebook. Facebook is so polarized, I can't deal with it. And I even made an announcement probably, I don't know, a couple weeks ago that I was not going to be on there anymore. But they've made settings so difficult to understand that I can't figure out how to even just go and take it basically offline. There are some articles just like this, just like me making this video 5 months ago and then bringing you this news from CERN. There are many things in science and in quantum physics that I wrote about that I had confirmation of in a matter of weeks or months, all thanks to you guys, the listeners, the watchers, the readers of my articles and of my videos telling me, hey, this just came out, you were right. So there are a couple of important articles, or at least they're important in my heart anyway, to get off of Facebook. So all I wanted to do, instead of deleting it, was temporarily deactivate it so that I could stop getting notifications. And I am unable to figure out how to do that. So I'm coming to you today to let you know that yes, many people have been so concerned about artificial intelligence for so long, and yes, it has absolutely reached new heights by robo dialing you through other people's phone numbers through the computer system, and now through home numbers. I find it so interesting. Can I really be that fascinating to them? Like, I know everybody gets telemarketing calls. Okay, I get that. But when you're getting 50 to 100 of these calls a day, and then you download a program to stop them, and now the same entity, the same force, the same artificial intelligence wants to reach me so bad, wants to reach you so bad, that they're dialing through doctors' offices and um, big businesses and people's home phones just on the chance that you'll answer. Because I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one. When you see an actual person calling you from a number that's, close to your hometown area, I know I can't be the only person that might pick up the phone and dial that number back and find out, oh, it is a person. And the only reason I did that today was because I knew in the bottom of my essence and my intuition was telling me, now that you've installed this app called Haya, now they're calling you through business lines because they can't get you through whatever server they were using before because of the Haya app. So now they're calling me from home numbers, and now they're calling me from huge businesses. And today I just called this person back because I knew, like I said, in my intuition, that this was a real person that didn't call me, and that AI is now able to tap into registered business lines and people's legitimate home phone numbers, which is totally insane to me. And originally when my intuition told me that this was what they were doing, that they were tapping into, big business lines and people's home numbers to call me, I thought, that's crazy. They wouldn't really be doing that because that creates such a risk, because, if they've done it, 5 times or 10 times today to that same person who lives close to me here in Cincinnati, that person's going to call the phone company, right? Or, once a business gets that many, maybe businesses, it could more easily with a business, I would say, slide under the radar. That's interesting that I almost said radio. Like, it's like we all pick up many different things from many different radio channels. But again, back to, if it's a business, it can easily go under the radar. They'll just chalk it up as that people dial wrong numbers. But there is almost zero dialing a wrong number anymore, I would say, unless you're a senior citizen, like my mom a lot of times, and other older people that I know would forget that they could just, go on their phone or tell their phone, call Tina, or go on the phone and, find their contact information and hit that number. Because for the rest of us, there is no dialing a wrong number. Everybody's programmed in our phone. And most people just say, oh, call Kim or call Lynn, call Maria, whatever. So there is no wrong number. But I will tell you that initial thought that, oh, wow, they're actually tapping into business lines and people's home phones to get to reach me or disrupt me or, get a hold of me now. I thought, that can't be right, because one, that's really, really risky. And two, it just seems stupid to bother someone who's so low on the radar like me. But nevertheless, they're doing it. And I knew when I called that number back today, a couple hours ago, that was going to confirm what I've been thinking and feeling for the last several weeks, is that they are literally, somehow artificial intelligence is tapping into business and home phones to reach out to people. So even though initially I thought, well, that's a really crazy thought, they wouldn't really take the risk to do that, right? But would CERN really take the risk to build a whole artificial intelligent infrastructure so that they could type onto the keyboard what they couldn't actually intuitively and energetically vibrationally match with enough to get that information, right? The intuition is always right. And how to know the difference, higher self or intuition. I think I've said this before, but it bears repeating right now. Your intuition always comes through in a neutral way, right? Your intuition doesn't say, hey, cross the street, there's a serial killer on the other side, right? There is an artificial intelligence that sends those very kinds of messages. It's capable not only of doing it, but is doing it. Yes. So your intuition always comes through in a neutral way. Now, I've had a lot of people reach out to me in this last year and say, my intuition says something. And it's like super negative, like, oh, my intuition says, that this guy is really a player and a narcissist. Okay. Your higher self doesn't use negative phrases, period. So if your higher self felt you were dealing with a player and a narcissist, it would ask you maybe to look at someone's true essence. It would ask you to maybe look at what this person says versus what their actions are, or what their limitations are, or what they do. But higher self does not say, this man is a player, this woman is a player, this person is a narcissist, the person on the other side of the street is a serial killer. Okay? I think that bears repeating because of the amount of people in the last year that have reached out to me that said, my higher self said this. Okay. And I'm not saying your higher self won't give you those kind of messages, but the words and the phrases and the energy will always be based in neutrality, and it will never be based in fear or fear tactics like serial killer across the street, this man is a narcissist, whatever. Again, not saying that information won't come through, but your higher self does not give you messages based in a reality of fear. Okay? And that's why most of the time when higher self initially begins speaking to you, it speaks to you through synchronicities of numbers, or seeing someone's name, or the state that person lives in, or business ideas or business names. It will come through in symbology initially, because you have to be the one to discern artificial intelligence sending messages through MK Ultra, or if you're targeted specifically, the voice of God, and higher self. That's why it's so important for you to realize, yes, any kind of message can come through a higher self about jobs, relationships, your health, anything, but it'll never, ever come through in a fear-based way. Okay. And if something is coming through, and I know initially when higher self shows up for you, it may be hard to discern that initially. It's hard for everybody to discern that. Okay. It's not, one person is more special than another. When higher self drops in, it can take a lot of discerning just initially, because they do have MK Ultra, and they have for a very long time. And if you are a specific target for them, they will use voice of God technology, which means, so MK Ultra is something that they would run through the cloud and send to everyone, or run through the grid and send to everyone, right? They would just send it to the whole hive mind, and you might pick up on it if you've honed in your intuition, on all of your abilities and gifts that are turning on through this awakening that's happening at a cellular level, this awakening that's happening at a DNA level. You will now know the difference from that. But initially, when higher self information starts coming through, it comes through in numbers and names and states and business names and, animal symbology or nature symbology, so that you can't misinterpret it, so that you know the difference between higher self and MK Ultra. Okay, so MK Ultra again would be a broadband spectrum. Again, please allow me some liberties when I'm talking about technology. But MK Ultra, as I see it, goes out systemically through a cloud or through the grid or through the ley lines to reach everyone, whereas the voice of God technology will show up to you in different ways with a message that is specifically targeted for you. And that voice of God technology may come through to you as I am Jesus, I am Buddha, I am Krishna, I am Ganesh, I am whatever. And I'm not saying that those things do not exist. I'm saying if a voice of technology, that the voice of God technology has been used on you, they may start with, this is God, this is Jesus, this is Buddha, this is Gandhi, this is Archangel Michael, this is whatever. And how you will know the difference between your intuition and your higher self, your guides, interdimensional beings, is anybody on your frequency sending you helpful information for your greatest and highest good, and the greatest and highest good of the planet will deliver any kind of message, no matter how scary or disruptive you think that might be, in neutrality. Okay. And I do think it's important to understand this, because I had someone that has been reaching out to me for 3 years and telling me, obviously she's an extremely targeted individual. She has been telling me for years that God has been showing up and telling her, that she's going to hell because she was on unemployment, that she was going to hell for smoking cigarettes, blah, 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 blah. Now, your higher self might come to you and say, hey, you deserved a break, you deserved a vacation. Let's think about looking for a new occupation, not you're going to hell for being on unemployment. Okay, you've got to learn the discernment and the difference. Again, MK Ultra and the Voice of God currently are still running. Whether that's showing up in your reality is going to depend on many things. That was not my intention to go into that or in any of this. Frankly, in this video, it just happened to come out when I closed my eyes. It's important to know the difference. Anybody that your higher self, guides, archangels, any consciousness, even the Akashic field that you are tapping into, the ideas, the messages, even the warnings come through. Speaking of coming through, they're calling me right now. But those organic messages, those helpful messages, from any ascended master, from the Akashic record itself, from your higher self, from your guides, from your ancestors, from interdimensional beings, no matter how fear-based it could be, it will always come through in a neutral way. And I think that's really important for you to know and remember. Because your belief system is what is the reason that if you, not for MK Ultra, they're not going to send religiously specific messages through MK Ultra. It's going to be very generic, okay? But the Voice of God technology is very specific, and it's going to be specific to your beliefs, right? So if you believe in Jesus and only Jesus, and none of those other ascended masters or none of those Eastern religions have any clout or any belief system in you, they're going to show up and tell you that they are Jesus or they are whoever. If that's what your belief system is based around, that's what they're going to show up, and they're going to give you a message that is not based in love, that is not based in your highest good, and that is not based in neutrality. Just in case you needed that. Okay, there is a planetary merging of energies that is happening. There's a lot of cooperation, okay? And during hypnosis, it came through that 3i Atlas was backup. Now, you may hear a whole lot of things. You may hear what you think are crazy things. You may hear things that scare you, that maybe they're things coming through about 3i Atlas being here for non-peaceful reasons. Not true. You may hear things, like a CME is hurling directly at it. Now, if you hear that a CME or coronal mass ejection is heading straight for 3I Atlas, that would not be a CME. That would be them using plasmatic weaponry, but it doesn't matter. No matter what they do, what they try, have no fear. It is not going to work. That ship's technology, 3I Atlas technology, whatever they send will go back to the sender. And also, whatever the sender wants to see happen to 3I Atlas, they will also see. I said this in the video, I think was called 3I Atlas. Anybody that wants to connect to the commanders on board, the beings on board, the healing energy of the ship, all of that. If you haven't watched that video about 3I Atlas, I was shown one of the things, or many of the things specifically that they are doing, is retuning all of the planets in this universe to deal with the incoming energy. You can go back to that video as well. The last thing I want to say is I made an entire video also, and gosh, I really wish I was tech savvy, because I would just tag these other videos down in the description box, but unfortunately, at this time, it's not in my skill set. There's another video titled Salt, okay? And I got some really astounding information about salt, its connection to consciousness, the Akashic record, all kinds of things. Again, that was quite a while back as well, not further than, I don't think, 3 months. But yesterday I found a video of Edgar Casey's information. I didn't listen to the video. I read the transcript, because that's what I normally do. If I'm interested in anything that anybody says, I don't want their tone or their inflection to disturb the information, and my preference is always to read it. So I read it, and what Edgar Casey said about salt is the exact same thing I said in the video about salt. Now, I'm not saying that I'm referring you back to past information to tell you that I told you so. It is so that you understand how important it is, no matter how crazy it seems to you or to I in that moment, to share these things with other people and be at peace in your own skin, okay? And be open and don't live in fear, okay? So the reason I'm sharing this with you is I've been working way more than I should. I've been a workaholic for the past couple weeks. The information is all in the salt video. You can go back to that. So finding this Edgar Casey transcript and reading it, he said everything I said, but he got to the part that I had not yet received, probably because I'm working too much, trying to chill out a little bit over here. But the part that he added to what I already said was that salt is one of the original crystals of Earth, and it can be programmed. Now, why is that important? You can, of course, program your quartz or any crystals that you have in your house. Anything that has a crystalline structure, ginger, salt, many different things can be programmed. But why is it important, or how much more effective could it be to program your salt? Well, if you want to know the full answer to that, you'll have to go back to the video named Salt. However, what I want to tell you is watch that video and then know that you can program the salt that you are bathing in and that you are perhaps drinking in your salt water, if you're doing what I'm doing. You can program salt with your intention to heal, your intention to move forward, your intention to connect to the Akashic record, your intuition to do anything. It is crystalline, just like the chip in your phone and the chip in your computer that it's made with quartz. Salt is a crystalline substance that can be programmed. So how you program that salt is you put it in a ceramic or glass container. Those are the only two things that work. And you sit with it with your eyes closed, or lay with it with your eyes closed, and you program that salt to do, to be, to access whatever you want to do, be, and access. And then every time you're drinking it or putting it on your food or bathing in it, it is doing within your body, within your field of consciousness, within your field of awareness, what you have programmed it to do. Now, like me, who programmed my salt 3 days ago, and I got to tell you, huge differences. And if I go into those differences, I'll be here for 3 hours. But in 3 days, I have seen a massive shift. I will tell you that. And if you program your salt 3 days ago, or I guess 4 days ago now, like I did, and then you think, oh, I thought of something else that I want to run in my program, right? It's just like your phone. You have a bunch of apps on your phone, right? Doesn't mean when you think, oh, I found out about this new app, like the app I just told you about, Haya. Now I'm going to download that app. Okay, now I'm going to add that to the choices on my phone, right? It's the same thing with salt. So you programmed your salt, today. You can go back tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now or whenever you still have salt in that jar and add to that program, just like you can add to the program on your phone or your computer to do whatever you want it to do. This is huge, people. One of the things that was in this Casey transcript is that there was a man on his deathbed, and Casey, back in the 30s, there were not telephones. So what he would do is get someone's name and address and then diagnose how to help them. He just did it as simple as that, right? And so he told this man, bless your salt, give it instructions, program your salt to what you want it to do. So not only was a man on his deathbed up and walking around in about or less than a week's time, he also then was documenting cases where people that had programmed their salt water, this one person in particular, shortly thereafter had connected to 17 different past lives. Now, again, you can program your salt crystal to do anything you want, and maybe you don't want to start accessing past lives. But the only reason for you to access or want to connect to and access a past life would be so that you understand the lesson that you were learning then, or maybe that you started learning and didn't complete, so that you could be 100% on your course of correction if you're interested in that. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your support. And I do apologize that you can't see my face and my expression that I'm sending you. And I do apologize for those loving, kind, supportive individuals who are here and have stayed for the whole video that can't comment. Okay, but for whatever reason, Mr. Robo AI is doing anything and everything, including calling me in the middle of this video to get to me for whatever reason. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. If you happen to cross this video and you want to go back again, the video from, I want to say it's a month or two back, is just titled Salt. And the one from 5 months ago, where I talked about, if that interests you, if the fact that CERN is saying they have no control over their experiments interest you, go back to the video from 5 months ago titled The Akashic Record, God, AI, Ghost in the Machine. That's a really crazy long title. I had to get rid of my hashtags and everything else to fit all of that in there. But for a while, in order to avoid robo on the videos, I was leaving the videos titleless, which makes it impossible for me to send to reference myself back to a video. And it also makes it impossible for me to reference a video for you when there is no title or no way for you to figure out all of the amount of videos in my feed on this platform that just say Tina Hammond is live. So now what I'm doing is going back and titling those, because for some reason I thought initially that was going to stop the botting or the trolls, which didn't work because they're using facial recognition software. from right now till the end of the year, this is going to be the biggest interstellar trip and the biggest interstellar expansion of consciousness, not only for you, but within this universe itself. A wave of bliss and many, many, many magnificent changes that we know are going to happen. Use your intuition, but please, please, please do not forget to entertain and amuse yourself. That's really important. And I know people are really wrapped up in things, and there are a lot of things that part of the population need to see. But there comes a time, and there comes a time of change in frequency where you yourself, the people who this video was intended to reach, should no longer be looking at assassinations and rabbit holes and chemtrails and vaccinations and all of these other things, because you have an incredible amount of imagination to create your own reality through amusement, through joy, through love. Okay? Don't forget to have fun. Okay? If you feel like you're having a lot of stuck energy, go to, I found mine at the local thrift store for $10. There is no way for you to get on I bought a little mini trampoline at the thrift store for $10. I'm sure you can find one. It's very cheap entertainment. There is no effing way you can be on a trampoline for even 3 minutes without smiling ear to ear, without laughing, and without being joyous and remembering that you came here to amuse yourself and other people and not to continue to stay down the path of rabbit holes that are very negative right now. Now, doesn't mean that people around you don't need to go down the rabbit hole, right? We live in a 3D physical reality, and we're experiencing the fifth dimension, and higher realms have all locked into place. We are now 3 through 12D on this planet, but you cannot walk the fourth dimensional bridge from 3D physical reality to the fifth dimension for anyone else, nor can you hold their hand to do it. If you've already crossed that bridge and you are still in a physical 3D body, but you're dabbling between the fifth and 12th dimension, it is no longer your time to give media, underground media, alternative media, any energy. Let us all reclaim our sovereign being. Let us all pull our energy back into self. Let us all pull our sovereignty back into self. I want you to get yourself into a safe space. I want you to get yourself into a safe place. Okay? And getting into a safe place and a safe space does not mean if you live on the ocean to pack and move inland somewhere out of fear of a hurricane. Okay? It doesn't mean for you to stock up on a whole year's worth of emergency food or to cut off all your connection with people. Okay? Reclaiming your sovereignty and reclaiming your power and getting into a safe place and getting into a safe space means that you put yourself in the people, places, and things, geographical situations, relationships, where your nervous system can be at ease. Okay? So, if you're living on a shoreline, that doesn't mean you need to leave. That doesn't mean if you're living in the Midwest, you need to stock up on, food for 6 months or a year. Reclaiming your sovereignty, reclaiming your power, pulling your power back into self, getting into a safe place, getting into a safe space means that while all this chaos is going on in physical reality that you're not necessarily connected to, you can still feel it. You can still tap into it. And MK Ultra is still running. That means it's very important for you, those who are understanding my words on this certain level of frequency, that you get into a place geographically that is calm and safe and relaxing for you. That means that you get into a healthy relationship with yourself and food and all kinds of other things that is safe and relaxing to your nervous system. That means when you get into relationships, friendships, partnerships, marriages, with everything that is disruptive and chaotic in this world, the only way you can fully pull your power back into self, the only way you can fully reclaim your sovereignty is to be in a place where your nervous system can react. And that means it doesn't matter geographically where you are. It matters the house that you're in, does it feel safe or unsafe? The relationships that you're in, do they feel safe or unsafe? Is your nervous system and your physical avatar walking on eggshells all the time to avoid an argument? It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter who you're connected with. Reclaim your sovereignty, pull that power back into self, and get yourself into a place that is relaxing and calm to your nervous system. And do yourself a big fat favor and dip out of the narrative. There is no way in this chaotic narrative that you're going to use your discernment on 50,000 things a day to know what's true or not true anymore. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, I love you. Stay calm, stay in peace, stay in your power, and pull your power back. Thank you.